Hello Internet, I am Narth, and in my free time I work on a futuristic checkers game for the iPad. This game. Since the last update I did a couple of things, like switching from a 10x10 to an 8x8 board. You can read about all the stuff I did on my blog. In this video I will focus on the one big thing I worked on recently, the development panel. It's this big secret piece of UI which can be used to change game state, look or behavior while the game is running without having to change the source code. My development panel is split into two sections. The one on the left is responsible for managing the game state. Now that I've made a couple of moves, I can tap the screen with two fingers to bring up the panel, save the game state, make some more moves, and load the saved state. It's very useful when working on a particular interaction, for example crowning or capturing many pieces in sequence. I can also reset to the beginning, copy state to the clipboard as JSON, and regenerate textures, which I will show later on. Now, the most important thing I want to talk about is the tweaks table on the right hand side. To describe it, I have to give you a little introduction to my development process. I write this game in Swift, a new programming language from Apple. I also use SpriteKit, a game engine also created by Apple. Everything you see on the screen, all the shapes, animations and so on, I create all of them in code. This means I have a bunch of arbitrary numbers describing how many edges should a piece have or how long should an animation take. Because of the technologies I use, I can't change those values on the fly. Each time I want to change such a number, for example to make a piece bigger, I have to recompile and rerun the app, which takes about 15 seconds and is pretty annoying. Let me show you the code. I won't get too technical here. Check out the blog post for more details. To enlarge a piece, when I pick it up, I use this code. To make it tweakable, the first thing I have to do is to reference the table section where I want to put the tweak. The whole table structure is defined in a separate file, and I want to describe it here. See the blog post. I use the service locator pattern, which you can read more about in the Game Programming Patterns book, which I recommend. Anyway, I access the development panel table, subtable piece, and another subtable legal touch. Now, to make this value tweakable, I use this syntax: application operator, dev.tweak scale. You might wonder what this operator does. It's an equivalent of calling a function, but providing an argument before the function name, which gives a really nice syntax that allows me to express what I want to do first, scale to 1 to 5, and then mark the value as tweakable. This operator comes from Haskell and is a part of the Prelude micro framework created by Rob Riggs that you can find on GitHub. What this function call does is when it is first run, it adds a tweak to a section in a table and provides a default value. You see, the structure of the table is strict and defined in terms of sections and subtables, but I can add tweak items to sections whenever I want by simply giving them a name. After being called, this function returns the current value from the table. I can change this value in the UI, save it and load it from disk, etc. Let me show you. This is a scaling animation, and I wonder what scale I should use. Thankfully, with my development panel, I can easily tweak it. Should it be smaller, like 105%? Nope, too small. Maybe it should be big, 205%. Nah, too big. As you can see, I can iterate really quickly. My panel shows the current value as well as a default value, and there are a couple of buttons. These buttons are specific to the type of the tweak, in this case a double. I have other sets of buttons for other types of tweaks, for example colors. Before I show them to you, I will disable an optimization that I use when generating textures. Okay, here I have 16 buttons, each for one color from the solarized color palette. Let me quickly change the color of the game by swapping the square and background colors and making the light pieces yellow. After making these changes, I regenerate textures. But we can go further. Another type my tweaks support are intervals. Right now I use pieces that have between 3 and 6 vertices. Let's change that to only 3. I have a special offset used only for triangles. I'll get rid of it because I won't need it to what I'm going to show you, which is changing pieces into circles. Well, not perfect circles, but polygons with 36 vertices, which are close enough. There you go. Considerably different look in just a dozen seconds without touching the source code. Now, let me use tweaks to show off, to describe my shattering algorithm. If you look closely, you can see that it's recursive. What it means is that I break the big piece first, and then repeat the process for each individual piece, and so on, a few levels deep. I randomize values used in the process, like the angle of dividing lines, or the location of the shatter point. One value which I don't randomize, but which I can tweak as well, is the number of pieces produced in each step. Let's make it 3. And go a few steps deeper. I also stop the algorithm if the piece doesn't fit into a square of a certain size. Let's allow for smaller pieces. And here we are, a substantial difference to what we've started with. To sum up, tweaks in my implementation are easy to use, support many different types like numbers, ranges, colors, and so on, and can be easily extended with new types. I'm pretty happy with how it all works. They allow for rapid iteration and exploration of the interactions without the need to recompile or restart the app. And in contrast to code swapping, which the engine I use doesn't support, but if it did, this argument would still be true. Tweaks can be used not only by developers, but also by your testers, clients, or less code-savvy members of your team. To learn more about tweaks, see my blog post. There will be a link to a Reddit thread at the bottom of the post, so you can join the discussion there. Other than that, you can follow me on Twitter at narv.pl and subscribe to the Checkers newsletter where I post updates like this one. That's it, happy coding and thanks for watching. Bye.